Awesome. Well, thank you for joining us before the start of season. You had a little bit of a holiday break. Did you do anything fun or special with your family?
That is the special thing. I got to spend time with my family. Went to my wife's family in Fort Worth and then went to my family in Norman, Oklahoma. So it was great spending that time, just kind of getting away from baseball for a little bit and spending time with wife and the kids.
And now you're stepping into your 16th season here at WT. What goes through your mind when you hear that?
That I'm old, number one. That I'm old. I used to tell recruits that, we're younger coaches, understand, relate well with you guys, do all that kind of stuff. Now it's hard to say that because I'm obviously getting a lot older, been here a while. I think I'm one of the older coaches, or at least that have been here that long as far as the coaching staff and everything. So it's definitely been a long time.
Well, you're also the winningest head coach of all time here at WT baseball. 478 wins under your belt. It's a huge accomplishment and certainly not one that's been easy to accomplish, but you did it. What's been the key to that success?
Obviously, I believe that we have an unbelievable administration here. Our presidents that we've had here, Michael McBroom has been unbelievable. But then, I've had great assistants as well. Coach Corey Hall's been with me 14 of the 16 years. And then Coach Sean Neal's been with me. I think this is going on his 8th or 9th season and stuff. So the stability with my coaching staff has been phenomenal. And then we've had just great student athletes come through, and then WT is just a great place to be. All the sports here, they win and win big here. And, obviously we're just trying to do the same thing in baseball.
Speaking of student athletes, I want to dive into this 2024 squad you have stepping in. You lost some pivotal playmakers last year, Will Finning, Adam Becker, but you have a core veteran group of guys coming back, Dylan Festerman, Corey Schmidt, the list goes on and on and on. You've gotten to work with them in the offseason for some time, so you've gotten to see what they're capable of. Who, both old and new, has excited you most and who you feel will make the biggest impact this spring?
Yeah, obviously last year we had a lot of returners back. I thought we were really deep, really talented. Obviously, we had Adam Becker, who was 2-time LSC Player of the Year. Obviously, losing a guy like that is hard to replace. But a lot of our offense, Eddie Savoy, Will Finning, Ryan Johnson, multiple All-Americans and stuff. So those guys are tough to replace. But I've for years, I've heard that, how do you replace the Dylan James, the Joe Corbett's, Marshall Kozowski, all that kind of stuff, and we feel like we've done a good job with filling those voids that, those guys that we lost and everything. Obviously we have a lot of returners, especially on the pitching side of things. I'm really excited about this year. We've had guys that have been in the program now for a handful of years. Nick Marshall, who's been our number one the last couple years. Reese Miller, who stayed healthy the entire year last year. He's been here a couple years. He's phenomenal. He was actually offered a contract this past summer, turned it down to come back for his last year. Maddox Hoagland's been around for a long time as well. So I'm really excited about our pitching side of things. And then we've signed some really good players as well. As far as on the offensive side of things, Elijah Batista at shortstop did a really good job for us all fall and everything. But until the lights come on, it's just fall ball. We always say fall ball, small ball. You never know what you're going to get out of it. Once the lights come on, you find out who you really are. But we got a lot of transfers coming in as well. On the pitching side of things, we really knew that we had to get back to what made us great. For all those years that we made regionals and deep runs and stuff, and that's pitching and defense and trying to get more athletic on the offensive side of things. And we feel like we've done that this year. We feel like we are really deep on the mound, got a lot more velocity than what we've had the past few years. And I believe that we're going to play a lot better defense. Now, scoring runs, that's where we're going to have to score some runs, and it may be a different way of scoring those runs than what's been the last couple of years. May not see as much power. than what we've had, but we are able to hit and run a lot more, steal some bases. We're going to try to be a lot more aggressive on the base path as well.
As a coaching staff, as you're going into preseason, what's the main thing you're focusing on, whether that's locker room, skill work?
Honestly, right now, it's just getting on the field. I mean, obviously, the weather's not looking great for this next week or whatever, but really just getting guys back in shape. I mean, some of our guys went home before Thanksgiving, the week before Thanksgiving. So we haven't seen them in 6 weeks. So we've got to get our guys back in shape. We send them really good programs that they are supposed to do over break, but it's different. It's hard to throw bullpens. It's hard to throw live against guys when you're home for Christmas. Some guys live up in Canada or back in Germany and stuff like that where the weather's not great over Christmas time. So hopefully we can get them back here, just get them back in shape, get them prepared as much as we possibly can because we start conference first weekend of the year.
I'm really curious because baseball players are the most superstitious out of anybody. I believe that to be true. Do you have like a preseason or even like a pregame ritual that you prepare for?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely, obviously, I'm a former baseball player myself, so I have some superstitions. My wife always brings me a Diet Dr. Pepper, she messed it up one time and we lost. So
oh, no.
She got in some trouble for that and everything. She tried to actually be really nice and bring because I always want a Diet Dr. Pepper with vanilla. She actually brought a Diet Dr. Pepper and actually put some vanilla ice cream in it. Tried to go over and beyond, did not work out so much. So she got in trouble that night and everything. But that's probably one of those things that I do. But there's a lot of little things that every baseball player does that you just kind of try to do just to hopefully stay winning.
Yeah. As a player, what was your pregame?
So every time I got into the box, I always rub dirt on my hands. I rub 3 things of dirt to start the at-bat on my hands, and then in between each pitch, I would rub another thing of dirt as well. I don't know if I like the way it felt with my hands against the bat and everything, but then it was just kind of just a mental thing that I did as well.
Yeah, usually baseball's a mental game. It's very mental.
No doubt about that.
Well, last question to wrap this up. You mentioned Corey Hall earlier. Mm-hmm. That dynamic is so interesting to me because you've worked with him for many, many years now, worked with him at Clarendon. Yeah. And then once upon a time, you were a player at Northwestern Oklahoma State while he was the pitching coach there. Mm-hmm. Then jumped 20 some odd years later and you're his head coach. What's that process been like and what has it meant to you to get to work with him, learn from him for all the years?
Obviously, when it kind of started, got to know him at Northwestern Oklahoma. He was my coach there for my first 2 years. And then he actually took a job at Clarendon College as the assistant coach there when I was finishing up my playing career. I played my next 2 years. He ended up getting the head job at Clarendon. And right when I was graduating, I knew I wanted to get into coaching and stuff. So he hired me to be his assistant there. I was his assistant for 2 years. And then he moved on, was actually at New Mexico Junior College when I took this job. And he wanted to get closer back to Oklahoma, where we're both from and everything. And so I kind of sold him the vision, what I was seeing what we could do here at WT and what Michael McBroom was telling us that he was going to build us, all that kind of stuff, and said, hey, come help me build this thing. You're completely in charge of pitching. I'm not going to deal with them. And it's really been me and him building this thing up. It hasn't just been me. It is every win. It's just as much on him as it is on me. And then obviously Coach Neal as well. I mean, he's came in and spent I think it's 8 or 9 years that he's been here as well. It's been great having those guys. Listen, we fight, especially Corey and I. I mean, we fight nonstop like brothers. And I'm telling you, we will be heated, yelling, screaming, and then 10 minutes later, hey, where are we going to eat dinner and stuff? So it's just the way we are. It's the way we communicate, and it really is a great working relationship.
Forgiveness builds the best relationships, right?
Absolutely. And he's one of my best friends as well. I mean, we spend a lot of time. I care a ton about him. And same thing with Coach Neal. I mean, it really is a good relationship.
Have you learned any tips and tricks from him over the years, both as a person and as a coach that stuck with you?
Yeah. Obviously, coaching-wise, I've learned so much pitching-wise because now that Coach Neal's here with me, used to I would do a lot more of the hitting side of things. Now, I've kind of turned that over to Coach Neal, so I'm able to oversee a little bit more of the pitching side of things as well and everything. And just Coach Hall does a phenomenal job of just relaying what he wants his pitchers to do, getting them to understand, to buy into his philosophy on the pitching side of things. And he's one of the, I believe he's one of the best pitching coaches in the country at any level. He really is.
Awesome. Well, we're excited to see the pitching. We're excited to see the whole team.
Absolutely.
Thank you for joining us today, and let's cheers to an
Absolutely.
awesome season.
Ready to get after it.
Heck
Thank you
yeah.
very much for having me.
Absolutely.